Last video, we finished the Toronto CN Tower animation. In this video, I'm going to show you how to animate this circle around it and also the sun coming out. First, let's find the circle layer and the sun layer. Let's go to the bottom here. So here's the sun layer and the circle layer. Let's move them to the top. First of all, let's do the circle. To animate the circle, we have to use this thing called trim path. But in order to trim the path, the circle has to be a shape layer or like a line. Right now, it's a Illustrator file, so we need to convert it to a shape. To do that, just right-click the Illustrator layer and then go to Create, and then Create Shapes from Vector Layer. Click on that. You can see right now there's one more layer generated. It's called Circle Outline. And then the Circle Illustrator layer is hidden. The eye icon is turned off. We don't need it anymore, so we can just delete it. Click on the circle outline. Click on this little arrow here, and then click on this Add button here. We need this thing called Trim Path. Basically, it's going to trim a path, literally. How it works is that go to the Trim Path property, and then right now you can see if I scrub through this percentage, you can see the line is actually animating on and off. So what we need to do is, at the beginning, I want it to be 0%. And then maybe over here, at 1 second, 16th frame, I want it to be 100%. Let's preview that. That's about right. The only thing is I don't want the line to animate from this point here. I want it to animate from the bottom. So to change that, we need to change this offset percentage. Just drag the offset, and you can see the line is actually moving, the starting line. Just drag it until it reaches the bottom there. So that's about 96%. Now, it can start from the bottom. And I want it to start with the pole coming into the frame. So I want to drag it back 2 frames. Let's preview that. That's good. Right now, these 2 keyframes are linear keyframes. So I want to right click and then keyframe assistant easy ease to change it to easing keyframes. Something like that. That works for me. Save the project. In order to animate the sun layer, first of all, I need to change this anchor point to the center of the circle, around there. And then I need to draw a path along the circle here so that the sun can travel along. To do that, I need to use this pen tool. Just basically draw a circle. Like that. Like this. And don't close it, otherwise it won't be a path, and then the sun cannot travel along it. You have to leave it open. Okay, and then I can go to the top here, hold down Option, toggle between the color to turn it off. Now I have this circle path. All I need to do is go down here, this icon, and then go down to this path, click on this keyframe, add 1 keyframe here, anywhere, and then copy this 1 keyframe. Command C. Go to the sun layer, go to transform position, and then Command D paste. You can see the sun has changed its position. It now changed to the starting point of this line here. If I scrub through the timeline, you can see it actually travels along the path now. This is what we want. Now I can just turn off the eye icon for this path. I don't need it anymore. I just need the sun layer here. So it's gonna start from the bottom there. Let's move all the keyframes forward. I want the sun to start traveling maybe around 10th frame from here. I also want it to cover the edge of the circle, so I can move it on top of that circle line. Before we go forward, we can just select all these frames, keyframes here, right click, and click on this rove across time. So as the circle travels, I want it to stop right there. So I'm gonna add a keyframe and then delete the keyframe behind it so that it stops there. It doesn't travel further anymore. Another thing is I want to add opacity change. I want the circle, the sun, to fade in instead of just cut in. Let's go to the opacity, click on the keyframe, change it to 0 here. So at this point, the sun should start at 0 opacity, and then as it go forward, it slowly fades in, maybe fade in faster, and move these two keyframes closer. Right now, you can see when the sun comes in, it's not very smooth. The animation is a little choppy. What we need to do is to change these two keyframes back to the rove keyframe so that the speed is not affected over here in these two positions, and then it's gonna make the animation much smoother. The way to do that is to go to this keyframe here, hold on Command to click this keyframe, and then click it one more time, click 2 times basically. And then it becomes a circle, which means it's a roving keyframe. The speed doesn't change at this point. It's just gonna rove through this keyframe here. Command click 2 times. Now change the first keyframe to a easing keyframe too. Right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease. Now let's preview. I wanna see the curve, what happens here. Okay, that looks good. Save the project. Let's preview the animation. I still feel like the sun is coming out too fast, so I'm gonna make it slower. Yeah, like that. One other thing we can add is right now the sun has a circle outline too, so we can also add a trim path to that so that the circle can build on. Let's go into the sun composition, do the same thing as the circle in the main comp. So here is the outline, and then right click, create shape from vector layer, and then go in here, add a trim path. At 0 second, change the ending value to 0, and then around 1 second, it's gonna be 100. Let's go back to the main comp and take a look. The outline is animating, but the circle is not rotating, so that makes it look weird. Now I need to add a rotation value to the circle itself. Just click on the stopwatch on rotation and then go back in time. Over here, maybe change it to -90 or -180. Let's preview that. So I want the circle to come in at this point here. From here, and then it's already starting to rotate. I guess the rotation value is not big enough, so I want to change it to -360. And then I'm going to move the keyframe of the trim path back too, so that it comes in at the same time when the circle becomes visible. So this is a point here that the circle stops in position. Let's preview that. That looks good to me. Now I feel the outer circle is traveling too early. I need to move it back. Maybe a touch. So now let's preview this. Cool, that looks good to me. Now we've done the tower and also the sun, the circle. Next video, we can see how we can animate the clouds.